going to read you girls another story from the book of Tajar Tales. This one's called The Tajar and the Witch. After the wintertime came and the campers had all gone, a witch came to the camp. She looked about and she saw the camp, and she knew it was exactly the kind of place she would like to spend the winter. She went down to the kitchen and she saw an old, dead, bare tree, and she thought to herself, "That is exactly the kind of tree I like to live in during the winter, because it is magic and it keeps off the weather." So the witch started housekeeping in the old dead tree. First of all, she dusted very carefully. After that, she got out her tea things and made herself a cup of tea. Then she felt quite at home. All this time, the Tajar was watching her from behind a tree, but he didn't quite come near enough for her to see him twice and forget what he looked like. At last, fearing the Range Ranger would be very angry with him, he sneaked away very quietly. But presently, when the witch went out for a walk, the Tajar was filled with folly, and he came out and danced in the moonlight when he didn't think the witch was looking. He had learned to dance quite well again in spite of the tucks. But the witch came back, and she saw him dancing in the moonlight. She got one good look at him, and then the Tajar saw her, and he hurried to his hiding place just as fast as he could possibly go. Then the witch said to herself, "That was a most unusual animal. I will go home and think about him." She went home to her tree, and she settled down and began to think about the Tajar. She thought and she thought, but she couldn't remember what he looked like, and the more she thought about him, the less she could remember. As more and more she thought without remembering, she grew terribly anxious and excited, and was afraid she was losing her mind. She worried about it dreadfully for a number of days. Well, one night, it was a beautiful night, and the witch forgot her troubles and fell sound asleep. The moon came out, and the Tajar was filled with folly. He came out of his hiding place, and he crept up very quietly to make sure that the witch was asleep. When he was sure that she was asleep, he danced in the moonlight, and he danced and he danced. He danced on his hind legs, and he danced on his forelegs, and finally, he went and took death-defying life leaps with his tail. Then the witch woke up, and she saw the Tajar. She got another good look at him, and she got down out of her tree, and she said, "Tajar, Tajar!" And the Tajar was terribly startled, and he said, "Yes, sir!" And the witch said, "Yes, ma'am!" And the Tajar said, "Yes, ma'am!" And the witch said, "Tajar, Tajar, now I know why I forgot what you looked like. You have given me a great deal of unnecessary worry. Now I will give you a taste of your own medicine." And the Tajar said, "Yes, sir." Then the witch did a magic all around the Tajar, and she pinned a magic on the Tajar's back. "Now," she said, "you are quite invisible. You won't even be able to see what you look like yourself." And sure enough, it was true. The Tajar wouldn't even have known he had tucks unless he felt of them. At first, the Tajar liked it because he could come up behind the witch and make her jump when she didn't know he was there. And he could get up close and catch the chipmunks without their even knowing he was coming. And once he saw a bird going by in the air, and he jumped up and caught it. But still, after a while, he found that it was a nuisance because he couldn't even see his own legs, and when he was taking death-defying life leaps, he was never sure that his tail had caught on the branches unless he felt of it. And this delayed him a good deal. One day, the Range Ranger came to the camp. He saw the witch's things, and he was very angry, for Range Rangers hate witches because they say they infest the woods. Then he looked around for the Tajar, but he couldn't see him anywhere. He was very angry for fear the witch had hurt the Tajar, and he called the witch. He said, "Madam Witch, Madam Witch!" And she said, "Yes," he said. "Yes, sir." She was very angry, but she said, "Yes, sir." Because everyone, sooner or later, does what the Range Ranger says. Then the Range Ranger said, Madam Witch, where is the Tajar?" And the witch said, "Oh, off in the woods somewhere." Then the Range Ranger said, Madam Witch, where is the Tajar? And the witch said, how do I know? He is off in the woods somewhere, I suppose. And the Range Ranger said the third time, Madam Witch, where is the Tajar? And he looked at her very hard. The third time he said it, she started and looked away, and she knew more about it than she pretended to. Then the Range Ranger went to the tree and took up a large axe, and he swung it over his head. And he said, Madam Witch, are you fond of your tree? The witch was terribly excited, and she said to the ranger, oh, don't cut down my tree. It is much the best I have ever had, and it keeps off the weather. Then the Range Ranger said, very well, where is the Tajar? And the witch said, he is all right, call him. The Range Ranger put his hands to his mouth, and he called very loud, Tajar, Tajar! And the Tajar said, yes, sir, very close behind them, and made them both jump. Then the witch did a magic, and she unpinned the magic off the Tajar's back, and suddenly he appeared, and the Range Ranger jumped. There was a twinkle in the Tajar's eye, because he knew the joke was on the Range Ranger, and there was a twinkle in the witch's eye, because she knew the joke was on the Range Ranger, and there was a very small twinkle in the Range Ranger's eye, because he knew the joke was on himself. Then the Range Ranger looked the Tajar all over carefully, and he said, Tajar, is your tail getting on all right? And the Tajar said, yes, sir. Then the Range Ranger went away. But the next time that the Range Ranger came to camp, he saw that the Tajar and the witch walking along, arm in arm, best of friends.